Welcome back to part 2. In this video, we're going to import the geometry that we created in Blender. We're going to set up the crowd simulation, and then we're going to export that simulation back out into Blender. So let's change the frame rate of iClone to match Blender. We had Blender set to 24 frames per second, so we're going to do the same here. We can type it in manually, or we can just go to the drop-down list. It says the end frame is 719, but we only want to export about 10-second clip. So that should be about 240 frames. And now let's import the FBX file. Let's go to import. Here's the FBX file. Open. Since we are just grabbing just the geometry file, we can just leave everything at default and just click forward and say convert all. So it's asking if we want to break this up into 10 separate meshes or keep it as one big mesh. I recommend breaking it up into 10 separate meshes. That way I can select each mesh and zoom in on that area. It'll just make it easier to navigate. So I'm just going to select this one right here, this cube here, and zoom in, and I can rotate around that. That makes it a little bit easier to just kind of navigate and see what I'm doing. The next step is now we're going to create a nev mesh. A nev mesh is a form of geometry that's used so that the crowd simulation can animate the characters on top of it. So we're going to go to create, generate nev mesh, and from this dialog we're just going to hit generate now. So you see that these blue geometry here is where the crowd's going to be simulated on, and we want to remove these smaller islands here. And what we can do is control that by using this area minimum size. We are going to click on auto build so that it updates in real time. Basically, it's rebuilding everything or recalculating it. And as I'm increasing the minimum sizing here, you can see that these small islands are disappearing. And that should do it. Now that has given us geometry that's only on the ground plane here. So once that's done, we're going to generate a crowd. And to do that, we go to create, scatter, generate crowd. This dialog box should appear right here. So we have a few options here. So we're going to use random, and we're going to create two crowds. One is created through a volume. So we're going to click create volume, and that's going to allow us to draw a box. And that's what we're going to do. Let me move this out of the way. And I know that in my scene there is a dragon here, so I want a crowd of people taking pictures or standing in front of the dragon. So I'm just going to draw a box here. So these blue dots shows where the crowd is at. And I'm going to increase that by scaling it up, or hit the hotkey R. And it redistributes the crowd. And you can hit W to move it around. You can tell the direction they're facing by these arrows. But I want them to be looking at maybe the center of the body or the head. So I'm going to place a focal point somewhere here. And we do that by clicking add focal point. I'm going to click it on this wall. And now the crowd is facing that focal point. We can also increase the amount of people standing around that focal point, but I think that's too much. I'm just going to leave it at 6. Alright, I think we're good here. So, okay, so we're pretty happy with that. So now we're going to add a group of characters to help populate my crowd. We're going to go to the content directory, go to actors, characters, and use actor core crowd. And I'm going to select a few of these characters here. Let's see. These will double up. Don't want that. I'm going to use the toon groon. I'm going to drag it into the actor pool where I can extract these characters from. And they're going to select it randomly. To give it more variety, I'm also going to use deploy with variant materials. So it's just going to change the clothing or the color. That will help give it a more variety in the look. Next thing I'm going to do is add motion, the type of motion I want these crowds to perform. Since they're standing and just simply posing, I'm going to go to actor group, embed, idle, Here's some female standing. They look pretty good. I'm gonna drag these here. So you can see that the actors have a few tags to define the type of characters they are. One is, for example, this is a female and an adult. So any of these animation can be assigned to any of these tags. Female adults. This one is not assigned to anything, but we're going to do the same thing. We want it to be female. It's an adult pose. An elderly pose could probably use it too. Maybe even a teen. We're going to say okay to that. We're also going to go to this one, which has an assign, do the same thing. And this is for the female. So now I want to select a bunch of males. Just drag it over. We're going to do the same with these two male idle poses. Now that we're done with that, so what I want to do now is that the animation, I want it to be blended with different sets of animation. I don't want the characters to just cycle through the same animation over and over again. So we can use combination here. I'm going to activate combination. Right now it's set to 2. So after the first animation is done, it's going to go to the second animation. The blend frames allows it to transition a bit more seamlessly between each other. I'm going to set it to about 24 frames, about 1 second to transition from one animation to the other one. That way it doesn't look abrupt. And we're going to have random starts. It doesn't look like they're all starting at the same time. So we're also going to click loop because we want the animation to loop indefinitely. By doing that, expressions on the face will be deactivated. As we try to create facial expression for a whole crowd, it will burden down the system. Let's deploy the characters now by clicking the deploy actors. If you get this message, it means that certain characters do not have a corresponding animation. My guess is that we have a child in here, but none of the tags has child in it. So we're gonna create one of these characters. We'll have a child tag. And I'll click one female, I'll check one female characters and give it a child tag. And we're gonna redeploy it. Okay, now we don't get any error message. Everyone's looking at my focal point. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit play right now just to see how it works. Okay, that looks pretty good.